Hello everybody, it's Tim here again, here with a new movie review. This time, just last night, I just watched the new film, The Little Things, directed by John Lee Hancock, who also did The Blind Side, and he also did the movie The Founder, which I thought was an extremely good flick. This film stars Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto, and who are three Oscar winners, and that's pretty much what the movie's advertisement banks on, is for you wanting to see the film because you're a fan of at least one of these three, or all three. All three of these actors are really good. They've all had their weak movies that they've been in, like the Night at the Museum films for Rami Malek and Suicide Squad for Jared Leto, and Denzel Washington has had at least a few weak cop movies. The Fallen wasn't very good. I remember that one. But all in all, they all three come together here for this cop thriller movie. Now, pretty much you would expect this to be like a cops versus serial killer movie, because Denzel Washington is like the older cop who's depressed all the time, who we know has some kind of like dark secret of his past, and Rami Malek is like the new young cop who's a family man who wants to catch this killer, and they pretty much end up teaming up together to try to catch the killer. And you think the movie's going to really be about that, but it's really not. Like, the majority of the movie, really for the most of the first half, is really just about like, it's just really slow paced, and is really about just like Denzel Washington like interacting with people, and him interacting with Rami Malek, and them just like going around questioning a few people about the murders and stuff. It really isn't that much about them trying to catch a serial killer. And when Jared Leto shows up as the prime suspect later, that's when the film really picks up. Jared Leto's character is easily the best in the film and the most entertaining. Denzel Washington like smiles way too much as his character. And his character is just too kind of brooding and boring for most of the film, or just kind of too mopey acting for most of the film, because you keep getting the idea that he's just like a really depressed like old cop, and you never find out why he's depressed to the main end of the movie when it finally reveals what the secret is. So for 90% of the movie, you're just watching this really depressed acting guy walking around. The performance is fine, but the character, the way he's written, he's just not very interesting. Rami Malek I actually liked better for most of the movie, because he had a little bit more life to him. Because he wasn't just depressed all the time. But by the time you get to the end of the movie, when they get to the twist that they try to throw in, his character, he just doesn't, the way he does it, he just like goes along with the twist, and they don't really add anything to his character about how he feels about it, or he doesn't even question it. Pretty much Jared Leto is the prime suspect in the murders, and they just spend time following him around and everything. Jared Leto plays a really great like alternate version of the Joker here, where he's like he's actually scary, and he is funny at the same time. And he's really funny in this. Honestly, he was funnier than what I thought he was going to be, than what I had any idea of expecting. And he just keeps making jokes. There's this cool scene where they do an interrogation scene with him and Rami Malek and Denzel Washington, all three in the same scene. That's probably probably the best scene in the film. It's really fun interrogation, and Jared Leto's like looking at the photos, and he just keeps saying goofy shit, like holding up pictures of the dead victims, like I'll be damned. It's just really funny. It's really funny, and he keeps talking to Rami Malek, saying, "How about we go out for tacos?" It's really entertaining. Part of the reason why is that the other two actors are pretty much equally as good of an actor as Jared Leto. It's just that Leto's character is the only one that has any oomph to him. He's the only one that's written in a way to where he has any life to him. The other ones are just more monotone for the 90% of the movie, really. You get to the ending twist, and Jared Leto is pretty much the only suspect, and the other ones that they're obsessed with, and they follow him out to the Rami Malek goes with him out to like a random spot in the desert or whatever, where Jared Leto claims to have buried bodies, and Jared Leto keeps telling Rami Malek that no, the body's over here, and he's making him dig up the different spots, and he's telling him like, I've never actually killed anyone in my entire life, and if you believe that, we can just get out of here and go get some tacos. It's really funny, and then Rami Malek just gets so pissed off he kills him with a shovel. The idea of this movie is to be like an anti-cop versus serial killer thriller, not to really focus on the case, but just to focus on like how cops become obsessed with trying to catch the killer, and they have a prime suspect, and they're just obsessed with wanting him to be the killer because they can't solve it. It tries to be more about that kind of stuff, like when Denzel Washington's like hallucinating, seeing the dead victims or whatever, because he's trying to solve the case because he's so obsessed. And at the end of the movie, you find out that Denzel Washington is depressed because he accidentally shot a witness one time that was running out of the woods from some earlier crimes that he was investigating. He accidentally killed him, and so he's been depressed forever about that. So he helps like Rami Malek cover up the crime of him killing Jared Leto at the end by them like burying him in the desert. Sorry if you hear a dog barking in the background. That's my dog. I'm doing this outside. But he pretty much like helps him cover up the crime, and his reaction to it, he doesn't really have much of a reaction. Denzel Washington doesn't. He's just like, well, just wait here, Rami Malek, and I'll just drive off and go get rid of all the evidence. And so the movie just ends with them pretty much like covering up the crime. This movie would have worked better if it didn't try so hard to be unconventional. If it would have just played it as like two cops, an old one who's depressed, and Rami Malek who's like the young cop, and them like just teaming up and investigating the murders, but becoming more and more obsessed about it, and them like really thinking Jared Leto's the suspect, kind of like they do in this version, but they end up killing him because they can't prove that he's the killer, or one of them does, and the other one like has to arrest his friend. That would have all played much better. Once again, I'm really sorry about the dog barking in the background. If you can hear him, he will not shut up right now. But yeah, I think that all would have worked better. This movie tries too hard to be unconventional. As is, I'd give it a 2 stars out of 4. It's an okay one-off watch for Jared Leto's performance because it's fun. But other than that, there's really not really any reason to see this movie. So it's also just really boring. Well, kind of boring for the first half. I appreciate the slow pace of the film, slow thriller pace, which most thrillers are more slow paced, or a lot of them are. But this one is just too slow paced, and with there not being like a much investigation going on between Denzel and Raimi and going after the killer, it's just not a lot to it. There's just not a lot of entertainment to it for the first half until Jared Leto shows up. And the movie pretty much ends with you never knowing Jared Leto, whether or not he was actually the killer. The movie very heavily hints at, though, the fact that he's not the killer. He's just like some crazy guy who likes the attention from police. And plus, when you see the killer at the beginning of the movie for a few seconds, he doesn't really look anything like Jared Leto's character. Yeah, all in all, I'd give this a 2 out of 4. It's an okay one-off watch for Leto's performance. Denzel Washington and Rami Malek Rami Malek's character is really underwritten, and Denzel's character is just kind of one note. So, all in all, like I said, it's an okay one-off flick. With the talent involved in this film, this should have been way better. This script needed to be better. This has probably damaged John Lee Hancock's career as a director because he spent a long time trying to get this movie made. And the script has probably had massive rewrites, and that might be a reason why this released version or finished version isn't that good. Hopefully he can bounce back with another movie, because The Founder was really good. Even The Blind Side was pretty good. I know I've heard some people don't like that movie, but that wasn't really a bad movie. But yeah, hopefully he can bounce back after this. John Lee Hancock can. But all in all, it's an okay movie. Not really worth your time unless you want to see a fun Leto performance. Really, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.